What's going on, guys? Christian here from CK Wraps. Today I'm going to talk about and explain how much you should be charging for a vinyl wrap. This goes for also customers looking to spend money on a vinyl wrap, how much you basically should be paying. A lot of you have asked this question before, so I wanted to address it in more detail, even though I do have a video about this already. We're going to go into much further detail during this video right here. Now, if you guys are looking for more detailed videos on installation, disassembly, technical aspects like seams, inlays, corners, that sort of thing, cutting, trimming, don't forget to check out my website, ckwraps.com. We're giving away 1 month right now for free. This is for a limited time only. This may not be here later on when you come to watch this video. 1 month for free right now. So go ahead, have a look. It tells you all the instructions there on how to get that free month on the website. Again, put a link in the top corner and in the description below for you. There's open discussion board there, forum for you guys to ask me questions, and I love answering all those questions for you. It gives me a lot of insight on technical things that you guys are going through, and for me to be able to help you through it. I'm pretty much able to, I can give everyone an answer as far as that goes. Anyways, let's get to it. So when we're calculating how much to charge for a wrap, we need to weigh out following, okay? We need to weigh out these variables right here. There could be more, but these are the ones that I came up with myself. So weighing out these variables, keep in mind that this can apply for interior wraps. This can apply for chrome trim deletes. This can apply for wrapping objects around the house. Whatever it is, you can apply a lot of this to. It doesn't have to be just for cars. This is just for wrapping in general, or maybe just a labor-intensive job in general. We have to have some kind of a foundation on how to charge people for work that we do. So this will hopefully give you some insight on how to do this. Tinting, headlights, that sort of thing. Number one, I'm going to start this off with minimum charge. This is not something that's absolutely necessary, but this is something that you can use as a foundation to build off of afterwards. For me personally, my minimum charge is 1 hour of labor. So I will not bring anything in the shop unless it's at least 1 hour worth of work. That doesn't matter if it takes 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 45, or an hour. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Sometimes it might take a little bit longer than an hour. We don't always win in these situations. We're always trying to estimate. So for me, I have a base price of $150. That's my personal minimum charge. And I find that it's good to have because it sets a standard, sets a precedent for jobs and wraps coming into the shop. To bring cars in for little side markers and reflectors and stuff like that, you can do that at 30, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, whatever it is, for tinting those things, small bits of chrome, whatever. But again, this is something that I like to have, and it's not absolutely necessary. But for my own personal standard, this is what I have. By the time, let's say I'm tinting lights, maybe the lights only take about 20 minutes to tint both. Now, if I take a car out to make room for the car that's coming in for the headlight tint, that takes time. Then I have to get the car coming in for the headlight tint ready, so I've got to get it prepped and ready. Sometimes if it's warm outside, the car might need to cool down, take some time to cool down, that sort of thing. And then we've got to prep, mask, get set up, and actually do the job, and then get it back out. This all takes time. Probably by the time you're in and out, even if it's a 20-minute wrap, you're looking at probably about an hour. So that gives you a good example about how much time you would spend. It does cover yourself for about an hour, pretty much, if you charge your minimum, if you charge your hourly for your minimum charge. This takes us into number two, have an hourly rate, okay? So I have my hourly rate. My hourly rate, personally, for my shop is $150 an hour. That's actually quite standard in the automotive industry throughout Toronto, at least where I live. This may vary from place to place to place, but that's somewhat around what we're looking at typically. Remember, what we're doing here is a bit of a niche work, a bit of a customized work. So there is a bit of a, in my personal experience, a premium involved when it comes to this, especially when you get up to a certain skill level. This is why BMW and Mercedes and Lexus and stuff like that, they charge higher hourly rates. Honda even, Toyota, because they have specialized service technicians to get the job done properly for you. So you'll pay a little bit more typically bringing your car into those places than you would at the corner mechanic down the road. Not to say that the corner mechanic down the road is not going to do a good job, but you will pay a bit of a premium. So when we're quoting the time that it's going to take, it's always an estimate. We win some and we lose some. It doesn't always happen to work out in your favor. Believe me, I've lost many times. So keep in mind, if you want to make $1,000 a car, you have to charge X amount of money. Now, for example, I'm charging $150 an hour, my material cost plus material cost. If you want to make $150 an hour on a full wrap, then I would estimate it would take 20 hours, then I would need to charge $3,000 plus my material cost. To get the car done in 10 hours, I would make $300 an hour. So if I could cut my time in half based off of the actual amount that I was charging initially, I'm gonna win. But now if I take 40 hours, so the job goes from 20 to 40 hours, I'm only gonna be making $75 an hour. Is that still pretty good? It's not terrible, obviously that's a lot more than a lot of people make nowadays, but it still lowers your hourly rate. So remember that when you're quoting a wrap, it's just an estimate of how long you think it's going to take. Obviously there's complexity and technical aspects that are involved, preparation, as far as dismantling goes, getting the car clean, how much has been driven, that sort of thing, small trim pieces to wrap, all kinds of little extras. There's a lot of variables here, difficulty in material, that sort of thing. But again, we're just generally speaking about hourly rate here. So you need to charge an hourly rate, or you need to have an hourly rate so you can charge people accordingly. Again, everything's an estimate. Even when you walk into a mechanic shop, it is somewhat of an estimate for the most part. You have something wrong with your car that no one knows anything about. They have to diagnose it, they have to figure it out. There's a charge there, and then they have to figure out how they're going to fix it, maybe once they figure it out, or once they kind of find where the problem is. But they'll usually typically tell you that you're going to be paying an hourly rate at that point. And so they'll go, how many hours is it going to take? Well, I don't know, it could be 3, could be 5, could be 8. Try to be a little bit more fair than that. I find that a lot of places in the automotive industry are not really fair like that. So try to be more fair to your customers as far as that goes. Again, market value for wraps really fluctuates from country to country, city to city, town to town. It fluctuates crazy. There isn't really a standard there, but making sure that you're covered with an hourly rate will ensure that you get paid some money. Your customer's happy to pay whatever it is that you're charging, and everything's very clear at that point. This method is the main method, and it's basically how I quote my wraps, but it's not the only method, as things get a little bit more trickier, like I said, with complexity and stuff like that involved in the wrap. So that takes us into number 3, complexity of the wrap. Now that you have a baseline to quote off of, we know that we have to weigh in difficult or more complex, or how difficult and more complex the job is. We don't always know how long it might take us to wrap a little trim piece on the side of a door. Those older cars that have trim pieces on the side of the door. We don't necessarily know how long it might take us to wrap one mirror versus another mirror from 2 different cars, but we can kind of, as you gain experience, tend to tell how long this is going to take. So again, experience does play a factor in this. I'm just trying to help you guys out with this video. Certain wrap applications will be terribly difficult, while others will be very simple and easy. This isn't determined by how expensive the car is, actually. It's determined by how intricate the car is, or how intricate the object is that you're wrapping. This is very specialized work. So if you know you can't really do it, you know that it's going to take you longer. Now this gets into something else later on down in here. We'll talk about it later. It gets into skill 4, or sorry, number 4 over there, skill level. But we're going to talk about more about that in a bit. Even though the most advanced installer can have a difficult time wrapping something. So sometimes for me, like I remember one time for me, it took me probably 200 tries to wrap a mirror in satin red chrome. This is years ago, it's like 3 years ago. I had to walk away for 2 days. Did I charge the customer for that? No, it was just my experience level. I got one side done in 5 tries. I went to the other side and it took me probably around 200 tries. I left the shop for 2 days. Luckily I had a couple of weeks with the car. The customer dropped it off, just said, here, have it for a little while. Was no rush at all. But out of frustration, anger obviously involved in that, at least there was no pressure from the customer's end in getting their car back. But I end up typically losing money as I try and learn and learn how to do better at the job that we're doing. Now if I were to look at that, would I be able to do that mirror better? Yes, because I invested the time on doing it then. So we do pay a bit of a price in learning. Our hourly typically goes down because you're going to take the time to actually learn. If you're not taking the time to actually learn, then this is not the industry for you. So please take your time when you're doing this. If something doesn't seem right or look right, try it again. It's very important. Don't let it go out looking not its best that you can possibly do. Try to revise it and try to do better. I always find that's the most important. Like I said, as an advanced installer, we're still going to need to wrap something eventually along the way more than one time. No matter how good you are, you're always learning. And that's the nature of the beast. That's how you get better. That's how you get to be able to charge maybe a little bit more, maybe more than me, whatever you want. Whatever suits, again, your skill level over there. This is when the job becomes more complex. This is where I charge a premium. So if the car is, let's say I have a very easy car, flat car. It's going to take me 20 hours to do versus another car that's more complex, but it's also going to take me 20 hours to do. Now, the car that's more complex, that's going to take 20 hours to do, I'm going to charge more than the car that's easier to do at 20 hours. So it isn't always just based off of the hourly rate, because we have to be fair to ourselves in frustration, in the ability to actually get the job done, because not everyone is going to be able to get the job done and get the job done nicely, okay? We're talking about having it done nicely. People might come to me specifically for one particular reason, let's say the Ford F-150 headlight tint. I do charge more for that. I do charge more for that because nobody else is doing it, because they are harder to do and nobody else is doing it. That's just the nature of the beast. You typically pay more for a more specialized or custom job or finish. If it was easy, then more people would be able to do it and that would lower the price down, but that's not the case in all situations. So again, we have to weigh in complexity as far as how much we charge. The difference I charge could go anywhere from, let's say, $20 extra to thousands more. It really depends. Thousands is an exaggeration, but yes, it could go up really high. It really depends. For a job that would take about the same amount of time, but versus the amount of difficulty that it might actually acquire or put strain on you as far as the difficulty goes to get the job done. That's where it gets hard. This is where advanced skills come into place. This is where trial and error comes into place. This is where you have to keep trying and trying sometimes to get it right and get it done nicely. This takes us into number 4. Okay, number 4 is skill level. So your skill level is very important in order so you know how to charge properly, because if you're charging above your skill level, you're going to really upset people. If you're charging below your skill level, then you're not being fair to yourself. You got to charge what you're worth. If you overcharge people for the work, again, they're going to be really upset about it. It's going to come back to bite you, and it's going to be just a difficult time all around for you. They're not going to be happy with what they paid. It's like going into anywhere for the most part, and paying a higher price for something that just doesn't come out as good enough quality. That you're not gonna like that yourself. So think about that from a customer standpoint as well if they're coming to you. Knowing, as far as customers go, knowing the shop that you're going to, making sure that they have a solid portfolio, they've got solid backing, they've got solid reputation, good word of mouth is important too. This does affect installers coming up from the bottom, but for working their way up from the bottom up, not coming from the bottom, but working your way from the bottom up, because working your way from the bottom up, you've got to acquire reputation somehow. And so acquiring reputation, again, your skill level will get better, your reputation will get better, but your reputation isn't just based off of your skill level. It's about how you handle situations. It's about how you deal with a problem when it does happen, because we all run into problems, and being there and being able to fix it is the most important thing that you can possibly do for anyone. I cannot tell you how many hours I've spent doing warranty work. I've put in a lot of time to do warranty work. I even do warranty work now when the material fails, because most brands don't give me any money for that. So I got to put my own time into fixing an issue with a wrap because the material failed. We got to eat it a lot of times. So sometimes when, yes, the job is more difficult, more complex, I'm going to charge a little bit more too, because if I have to warranty it for the material failing, it's just going to eat out of my pocket for sure. Eats out of your time, that's out of your pocket, right? Again, stuff that I'm totally happy to do all the time, because I do want my work to look the best possible, but we can't always have control of all situations. Your skill level is not going to be not necessarily my skill level and your skill level are not going to be the same, okay? They're going to be different. You know, I'll be able to maybe use less seams, do nicer corners, nicer cuts, maintain a nicer finish, and also have a longer lasting wrap than someone who's coming up as a beginner. This is why I'm charging maybe a little bit more than you, because you're not there yet. Maybe even the turnaround time is a different thing too. Maybe I'm turning around cars in 20 hours with all those other pluses, and you're taking 40 or 50 hours, and your corners aren't quite as nice, your cuts aren't quite as straight, your finish isn't quite as nice. You're gonna have to lower your price, okay? Again, if you overcharge, you're just gonna really upset people. And so it's very important that I stress this, because you don't wanna do that. In the very beginning, for me, personally, my prices were all over the place. They were up, down, they were like zero at some point, just to get a car in to wrap so I can gain experience. I did have customer pay for material. I never put myself out as far as that goes. But sometimes, yeah, I would bring car wraps in for next to nothing in order to gain the experience, build the portfolio, get business cards on the road, and create a consistent flow of work. It's funny how it is, because the busier you look, and maybe you may be getting paid or not, but the busier you look, the more desirable usually you are as far as getting a service done or getting the job done goes. People want to come to you. You also got to think, like, if you're more of a beginner or intermediate and your wraps are failing more, even mine fail sometimes too, rare situations, it happens, sometimes mirrors, whatever. It's nothing usually major, but it happens, okay, even to me still. Now, as you're learning, and I know this because I came up from the bottom too, I had a lot of stuff come back and fail. Not only is this an inconvenience to you, but most importantly, this is an inconvenience to your customer. Why should they be paying a lot of money to keep coming back to your shop all the time, or keep coming back to get the work fixed? You have to think about their time too, and their time is worth something. Sure, they could drop the car off, but still they have to make their way over, they have to find a ride, they have to figure out all that stuff. So when you're thinking about that, don't think about just yourself, think about what it's going to do to the customer as far as, taking up their time and the inconvenience to them. How good you are and how difficult the film is will also play a role in this. And this takes us into number 5. Number 5 is ease of material use. So this means how difficult or easy or how challenging is the material to use. Not all brands are the same when it comes to installation. Not all finishes are the same within each brand of wrap. This means, let's say, for example, Avery has gloss red. Avery has gloss red, then they have, it'll be easier to install than their diamond red. Their diamond red is a gloss red with a metallic flake. When you actually stretch that material out, it loses its gloss like nobody's business. You don't have to stretch it very far. So being able to maintain the finish is very important. So the ease of material use even though it's the same brand, doesn't make it easy necessarily. Just because you think that Avery gloss black is easy to use, or Avery satin pearl white is easy to use, it doesn't mean that all their other products are easy to use. They can be a lot more difficult than it appears to be. Again, the diamond line is one that'll throw you off big time, because it actually goes matte and it looks terrible, and you can actually feel the sparkles through the wrap that if you stretch it too much. So it gets to be pretty ugly if you do it wrong. Now, Avery's gloss diamond red in comparison to gloss chrome red is going to be easier than the gloss chrome red. It's going to be easier than, let's say, matte metallic red. And then matte metallic red is going to be easier than gloss chrome red. There's like stages in material and how they all function. If you guys are looking again for more information on that stuff, it's on my website, ckwraps.com. I go in a bit more detail about these sort of things on my website. This is, again, just general information for the public, because I get asked this a lot of times. So again, matte metallic is usually more difficult than a gloss metallic. I'll explain why. It's usually more likely to tear, it's usually more likely to break, and it's usually more likely to distort, or you're more likely to ruin the finish. It can get shiny, it can get discolored, it can change all kinds of things. It gets more complicated and it depends on the finishes and the vinyls that you're using. So we have to charge based off of the difficulty of the film, or how not difficult it is. You know, for me personally, I only use one type of gloss black for roof wraps and chrome trim deletes. That's my own personal preference because I find it very easy to use. I don't mess around with the other stuff because it doesn't matter. It's just gloss black, and all the other stuff just really doesn't matter. I like the one that I like because I like the way it works, and it's great for small stuff like chrome trim deletes and roof wraps. It makes it really fast. If I was using a more difficult material, I might have to up the price, but it allows me to keep my price a little bit lower because I find the film is a lot easier to use as far as that gloss black goes. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. You'll find out on the website. You know, on top of that, you know, the other difficult films to install are color shifting films, dry carbon fiber, brushed metals. Those are difficult films. So the color shifting films, I mean, it's a no-brainer. They're usually directional. This goes with like 3M Psychedelic or any of their color flip stuff, all Avery's color flow, all Oracal's color shifting stuff. Anybody's color shifting anything is always directional. Dry carbon fiber, it's got its own challenges. Even though it's not as popular as it used to be way more popular, it still gets installed often enough, and it's very hard to use. It's not easy. If you stretch that out the wrong way because it has a grain to it, you ruin it. You could permanently ruin the piece actually, and then so now you have to scrap a piece, and then you have to grab a new piece. So you're gonna just waste material out that way. You have to always weigh out how hard things are gonna be. It's not just the complexity of the panel or the object that you're wrapping, but it's also the material itself. Again, a lot of this stuff comes down to time, but also mental frustration and the knowledge and the ability to know how to do it. Because if it was that easy, everyone would just be doing it. Unfortunately, it's not. There's people out there who will watch this video and decide, hey, I'd rather pay someone to have my wrap done. And there's people out there who will watch this video and you'll learn and you'll figure out how you're going to charge for your wraps now and how you're going to do better. You know, when it comes to the difficulty of the film or the ease of material use, I always let my customers choose a color or finish no matter what. I don't want to steer them in a color that they're uncertain about. You don't want people to not like their wrap just because you wanted to use Avery. Maybe they had a gray by Vvivid that they wanted, but now you steered them towards Avery because you preferred it was easier to use. You steered them towards that product, and now they don't have the gray that they want anymore. Then you wrap their whole car, then they get upset with you. It's very important to let people make the choice. What I will do is I will educate them based off of the finished result. Depending on certain brands, maybe like 3M and Avery have a lot more orange peel in their gloss films. So maybe if another brand has a similar color, I would steer them in that direction. I would say, hey, you know, like there's this other gray here. The finish is nicer, but you know, again, it's really up to you. This one over here, the finish might not be so nice, and this is why. You know, I would show it to them, or I would explain it to them. Always let them choose in the end. If they want 3M, they want Avery, they want Vvivid, they want Hexus, that's what they want. Don't try to get them off of it. It's not your job to do so, to change their mind, as much as it is to just give them information about maybe a better product more suited to what they want. After going through all of that, I do hope it's provided you with better insight on knowledge. Always ask your customers, you know, what they want, and then go from there. You know, in the end, you do this for them. You know, they want what they want. They want the best possible result, obviously, for the best possible price, obviously. You should also strive for the best result for yourself, for your own achievement and your own excellence in general. You know, that's it, guys. Always strive for the best type of work that you can possibly do. Learn how to get better. It takes trial and error. It takes practice. It takes failure. That's all it takes. The more time you invest in learning and failing and doing it again and again and again, the much better you will get. I promise you that. Again, when I started, I had no videos to start off from. You guys are lucky. You guys got videos to watch. I had zero. So I had to just figure it out. Anyways, guys, I do hope this video was informative and helpful. You know, I'm looking forward to doing some more videos for you. You know, I'm at home right now, quarantined, staying safe. I hope you guys are too. Please stay off the streets. Please stay out of public areas. It's so important so that we just kind of get through this. Let it wash itself away. Everyone stay home. If we stay home, it can't spread, you know, but again, I can't make you guys do that. Stay home and wrap something. Okay, that's what I want you guys to do. Stay home and wrap something. Tag me in your Instagram posts on what you're wrapping. Keep yourself busy. I know this is a time where, you know, we're gonna have, a lot of us are gonna have a lot of extra time. I shut my shop down a couple weeks ago. You know, and I'm sitting around the house and I'm working on videos for you guys on stuff to do around the house too. Again, looking forward to doing those videos for you guys. Anyways, take care, be safe.